The station was old. Commander could feel it in the way the metal floors hummed under her feet. She had served on Station Vila for 12 years now, and she knew every sound it made. Today, however, there was a new sound coming. The humans were arriving. Stood in the main hangar with her arms crossed behind her back. Her blue skin reflected the harsh lights above. Around her, dozens of other species had gathered to watch. There were the tall people with their 4 arms. There were the small who barely reached knee. There were even a few of the ancient, their gray bodies floating in their water tanks. Everyone wanted to see the humans. "Are you nervous?" asked her second-in-command. He was from the same world as with the same blue skin and silver eyes. "No," said, but that was a lie. She had read every report about humans. She had watched every video. She had studied their history, their wars, their technology. Nothing she learned made her feel calm. Humans were new to the galaxy. They had only made contact with other species 50 years ago. In that short time, they had spread across dozens of star systems. They built ships faster than anyone thought possible. They adapted to new worlds in ways that surprised every scientist. And when they fought, they won. The Galactic Defense Coalition had invited humans to join their alliance. It was a smart choice. Better to have humans as friends than as enemies. Station Vila would be the first place where human soldiers served alongside alien troops. A loud alarm rang through the hangar. The massive doors at the far end began to open. Cold air rushed in from outside, carrying the smell of ship fuel and recycled oxygen. Through the growing gap, could see a human transport ship settling onto the landing pad. The ship was ugly, that was first thought. Most species built ships that were smooth and curved. Human ships looked like they were made from spare parts, sharp angles everywhere, exposed pipes and wires, weapons mounted on every surface. The ship looked like it was built for one purpose only, to fight. The engines died down. A ramp lowered from the belly of the ship. Steam hissed out into the cold air. Then the humans came. Had seen pictures before. She knew what humans looked like, but seeing them in person was different. They were tall, almost as tall as They walked on 2 legs like her own people. They had soft skin in various brown and pink colors. Their eyes were small and dark. But it was not their bodies that caught her attention. It was what they wore. The human soldiers marched down the ramp in 2 neat lines. Each one was covered from head to toe in thick suits. The suits were dark green and brown, made of many layers of material. Every suit was different. Some had extra pieces attached to the chest. Some had large packs on the back. Some had strange tubes running from one part to another. And every suit made noise. With each step the humans clinked and rattled. Metal hit metal. Things shifted and moved inside hidden pockets. It sounded like a kitchen full of pots falling to the floor. "What is that sound?" whispered. Did not answer. She was watching the human at the front of the group. He was shorter than the others, but he walked like he was in charge. His face was serious. His eyes scanned the hangar, looking at everything and everyone. The human stopped in front of and raised his hand to his forehead. She recognized this as a human greeting called a salute. "Commander," the human said. His voice was rough, like rocks grinding together. "I am Sergeant, 1st Human Infantry Squad, reporting for duty." Returned the salute as best she could. "Welcome to Station Vila, Sergeant. We are glad to have you here." Nodded, he did not smile. Behind him his soldiers stood perfectly still, counted 8 of them. 4 men and 4 women. All of them wore the same strange, noisy suits. "These are my soldiers," said. He pointed to each one as he spoke their names. Corporal Wu, Private Bora, Private Myra, Private Dahl, and Private. Each soldier nodded when their name was called. None of them smiled either. Noticed that the other aliens in the hangar were whispering to each other. They were all looking at the human suits. She understood why. The suits were very strange. Most species in the galaxy wore armor that was thin and light. The best armor was almost invisible. It used energy shields and special materials to stop weapons. A soldier could move fast and still be protected. Human armor was the opposite. It was thick and heavy. It covered everything. And it had so many bumps and bulges that the humans looked almost twice their normal size. "Your quarters are ready," said. "My officer will show you the way. Tomorrow we will begin training together." "Thank you, Commander," said. "But first, I must report to your armory. All human soldiers must register their equipment." "Of course, we'll take you there." Stepped forward looking uncomfortable. He was clearly nervous around the humans, could not blame him. Up close, the humans were even more strange. They smelled different, they breathed louder, and those suits kept making that clinking sound. As the humans followed out of the hangar, heard one of the soldiers speak. "Their armor," the small alien said. "It is so thick, how do they move? How do they fight?" "Maybe humans are weak," another soldier said. "Maybe they need all that protection." Said nothing, but she did not think humans were weak. She had read the reports. She had seen what humans did in battle. Whatever those suits were, they were not a sign of weakness. She watched the last human disappear through the hangar door. The clinking sound faded slowly. Tomorrow she would learn more. Tomorrow she would see what humans could really do. But tonight she would read those reports again, because something told her that she had missed something important, something about those strange, heavy suits that she did not yet understand. The hangar fell quiet. The other aliens went back to their duties, and somewhere deep in the station, the humans were walking to the armory, their suits making noise with every step. Turned and walked to her office. She had a feeling that things on Station Vila were about to change. The armory was the largest room on Station Vila. It had to be. The Galactic Defense Coalition used hundreds of different weapons from dozens of different species. Every gun, every blade, every piece of armor had to be stored, cleaned, and repaired in this room. Chief Armorer was in charge of it all. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and quick hands. Her blue skin was darker than most of her people, marked with the burns and scars of 30 years working with weapons. She knew every piece of equipment in the armory. She could fix anything. She could identify any weapon just by touching it. Today she was confused. The humans stood in a line in front of her workbench. There were 8 of them plus their sergeant. They had removed their helmets, showing their strange, soft faces, but they still wore their suits. Those suits could not stop looking at them. "Please step forward," she said to the first human. It was the one called Wu. He was tall with a round face and thick arms. Wu stepped forward. His suit made that clinking sound again, walked around him slowly, looking at every part of the suit. It was not like any armor she had ever seen. The outer layer was made of a rough fabric. It was thick but not very strong. Her scanner showed that it could stop small pieces of metal, maybe some heat, but any real weapon would go right through it. Under the fabric there were many hard plates. They covered the chest, the back, the shoulders, and the thighs. The plates were made of a material she did not recognize. It was strong, yes, but it was also thin, too thin. "This plate," said, tapping Wu's chest. "It is only 12 millimeters thick." "Yes, Chief," Wu said. "Standard armor for my people is 40 millimeters. It is 60. How does this protect you?" Wu did not answer. He just looked at Sergeant. Stepped forward. "Chief Armorer, our suits are designed for human needs. We have tested them in many battles." Frowned. She did not like answers that were not really answers. She continued her inspection. The strangest thing about the suit was all the extra parts. There were pouches everywhere, on the chest, on the stomach, on the sides, on the back, on the arms, on the legs, even on the helmet that Wu held in his hands. Pressed her scanner against one of the pouches on Wu's chest. The scanner made a confused sound. She pressed it again. "What is inside this?" she asked. "Equipment," Wu said. "What kind of equipment?" Again Wu looked at. The sergeant nodded. Wu reached up and opened the pouch. Inside, saw 6 small metal cylinders packed tightly together. "What are those?" she asked. "Magazines," Wu said, "for my rifle." Blinked, she moved to the next pouch and opened it. More magazines, she opened another. Grenades, another. Medical supplies, another. More magazines. She walked around Wu, opening every pouch she could find. The human stood still and let her look. By the time she was done, she had counted 47 separate compartments on his suit. Most of them were full. "How much ammunition are you carrying?" asked. Wu thought for a moment. 300 rounds for my main rifle, 60 rounds for my sidearm, 8 grenades, 4 smoke canisters, 2 flares. Stared at him. 300 rounds. A soldier from her world carried maybe 50 rounds into battle. They carried even less because their weapons were so powerful. "And the others?" she asked, looking at the line of humans. "They carry the same." "More or less," said. "Carries extra grenades. Bora carries the heavy ammunition for her support weapon. Myra carries the medical supplies for our squad." Walked down the line scanning each human. They were all the same. Thin armor plates, dozens of compartments, and every compartment was stuffed full of something. She stopped in front of the female human called Bora. This one was different from the others. She was bigger, with wider shoulders, and her suit was even more bulky. "You carry the heavy weapon," said. "Yes, Chief." "Show me." Bora unslung a massive gun from her back. It was as long as was tall. The barrel was thick and covered with cooling fins. A large box was attached to the bottom. "This is a squad support weapon," Bora said. "It fires 800 rounds per minute." 800? Could not believe it. "And how much ammunition do you carry for this weapon?" Bora smiled for the first time. It was not a friendly smile. 1,000 rounds in my pack, 500 more in my suit compartments. 1,500 rounds for one weapon, carried by one soldier. Returned to her workbench. She sat down heavily on her chair. Her scanner lay forgotten in her hands. "I do not understand," she said finally. "Your armor provides minimal protection. Your plates are thin. Your fabric is weak. Any standard energy weapon would burn through your suit in seconds." Walked over to stand in front of her. He was short for a human, but he still had to look down to meet her eyes. "Chief Armorer," he said, "may I ask you a question?" "Yes." "When your soldiers go into battle, how many shots do they fire before they need more ammunition?" Thought about it. "Our rifles hold 20 shots. Most soldiers carry 2 or 3 extra magazines, so perhaps 80 shots before they must retreat to resupply." "And how long does a battle usually last?" "A few hours sometimes, a day for larger fights." Nodded slowly. "Chief Armorer, human battles last for days, sometimes weeks. We do not retreat to resupply. We carry everything we need with us. Every bullet, every grenade, every bandage, everything." He reached down and knocked on one of the pouches on his leg. It made a solid sound. "You look at this and you see weak armor," said. "But we do not see armor at all. We see storage. We see ammunition. We see everything we need to keep fighting when everyone else has run out." Stared at him. In her 30 years as an armorer, she had never heard anyone say something like this. "But protection," she said. "What about protection?" Smiled. It was a cold smile, like the edge of a blade. "Chief Armorer, humans have a saying. The best defense is a good offense. We do not need heavy armor to protect us. We need enough ammunition to kill everything that tries to hurt us." The room was quiet. The other humans stood still in their line, their suits full of death, their eyes empty and calm. Looked at her scanner. She looked at the numbers on the screen. She looked at the image of Wu's suit, covered in compartments and pouches and pockets. She finally understood. The humans had not come to hide behind armor. They had not come to defend themselves. They had come to fight, and they had brought enough supplies to fight forever. Saved the scanned data and began typing her report. Her hands were shaking slightly. She was not sure if it was from fear or excitement. Either way, she knew one thing for certain. She was glad the humans were on her side. The report spread through Station Vila like fire. By the next morning, everyone had heard about Chief Armorer's inspection. The words she wrote became famous. Human combat suits provide minimal ballistic protection. They are not designed as armor. They are designed as extra compartments for carrying more ammunition. Commander read the report 3 times. Each time she understood it a little better, and each time she felt a little more afraid. She called a meeting in the main briefing room. All the senior officers were there, sat on her right. Chief Armorer sat on her left, and standing at the front of the room was Sergeant. "Thank you for coming," said. "I have read the armory report. I have many questions." Nodded. "I will answer what I can, Commander." Leaned forward in her chair. "Your suits carry almost no real protection. Our soldiers wear armor that can stop energy blasts, projectile weapons, even small explosions. Your suits would fail against any of these. Why do you choose to be so vulnerable?" Stood very still. He was not wearing his suit today. Instead, he wore a simple uniform. Without all the pouches and compartments, he looked almost normal, almost like any other soldier. "Commander," he said, "may I tell you a story?" "Please." Walked to the large window at the side of the room. Outside, stars filled the black sky. Somewhere out there was Earth, the human home world. "Long ago," began, "humans fought wars on our planet. We had no energy weapons. We had no starships. We only had simple guns that fired metal bullets." He turned to face the room. In those wars, soldiers wore heavy armor. Metal plates covered their chests and heads. They thought the armor would save them. "And it did not?" asked. "Sometimes it did. Sometimes a bullet would hit the armor and bounce away. But there was a problem. The armor was heavy. Soldiers could not move fast. They could not run. They could not climb. They could not carry enough supplies." Walked slowly around the room. Every eye followed him. "Our enemies learned something important. They did not need to shoot through our armor. They just needed to shoot around it. They aimed for arms and legs. They used explosions to throw soldiers off their feet. They waited until our soldiers were tired from carrying all that weight." "So you made the armor lighter," said. "Yes, over many centuries we made armor thinner and lighter, but we also learned something else, something more important." Stopped in front of the window again. The stars reflected in his dark eyes. "We learned that the best way to not get shot is to shoot first. The best way to survive a battle is to end it quickly. And the best way to end a battle quickly is to never run out of ammunition." The room was silent, could hear her own heartbeat. "Show them," said. The door opened. The human soldier called walked in. He was carrying his full suit over his arm. He laid it on the table in front of the officers. "This is my combat suit," said. He was young with a thin face and quick hands. "May I demonstrate?" Nodded. Began opening compartments. As he worked, he explained each one. "Front chest pouches, 6 magazines for my rifle, that is 180 rounds. He opened another section. "Side pouches, 4 grenades on each side, 8 total," another section. "Back panel, medical kit, water, emergency food, communication device, spare batteries." He continued around the suit. Leg compartments held more magazines. Arm compartments held a small pistol and extra rounds. The helmet had a built-in light and radio. Even the boots had small hidden pockets. "Total weight when fully loaded," said, "is 32 kilograms. Made a sound of surprise. "That is more than our soldiers carry in their entire pack." "Yes," said, "and we carry it on our bodies. We can run with it. We can climb with it. We can fight for hours without putting it down." Chief Armorer spoke up. "But what happens if you are hit? One shot to the chest and you are dead." looked at her calmly. "Chief, in my 6 years of service, I have been in 43 combat operations. I have been shot 9 times." The room went quiet again. 9 times, said. Pointed to different parts of his body. Twice in the left arm, once in the right leg, 3 times in the chest, once in the shoulder, twice in the back. "How are you alive?" "Because I was still shooting." His voice was flat, like he was talking about the weather. "When I was shot in the arm, I switched my rifle to my other hand. When I was shot in the leg, I kept walking. When I was shot in the chest, I fired until my magazine was empty, then reloaded and kept firing." He pulled up his sleeve. There was a long scar running from his elbow to his wrist. "This was the second time I was shot in the arm. The bullet broke my bone. I kept fighting for 2 more hours before we finished the mission. Then I went to the medical station." Commander stared at the scar. She had seen many soldiers in her career. She had seen bravery and sacrifice, but she had never seen anything like this. "You kept fighting with a broken bone?" she asked. "Yes, Commander, because I still had ammunition, because my squad needed me, because the mission was not complete." Lowered his sleeve. His face showed no pride, no emotion at all. To him, this was just normal. Sergeant stepped forward again. "This is why our suits look the way they do, Commander. We do not plan to get hit. But when we do get hit, we plan to keep fighting. And to keep fighting, we need supplies. We need ammunition. We need everything we carry in these compartments." He gestured at suit on the table. "You asked why we choose to be vulnerable. We do not see it that way. We choose to be deadly. We choose to be unstoppable. We choose to carry so much firepower that our enemies die before they can hurt us." Sat back in her chair. Her mind was racing. Everything she knew about military tactics, about armor, about protection, was being challenged. "In the coalition," she said slowly, "we teach our soldiers to find cover, to wait for the right moment, to conserve ammunition, to retreat when necessary." "Yes," said, "we have read your tactics." "And what do human soldiers do?" Smiled that cold smile again. "We advance, we attack, we overwhelm. We do not stop until the enemy is destroyed or we are dead. There is no retreat, there is no conservation, there is only victory or death." The room was completely silent. Even the station's background hum seemed to fade away. Finally spoke, his voice was quiet. "You are not soldiers, you are weapons." Considered this for a moment, then he nodded. "Yes," he said, "that is a good way to understand us. We are not soldiers who use weapons. We are weapons that happen to be alive." Commander looked at the human suit on the table. All those compartments, all that ammunition, all that death packed into pouches and pockets and hidden spaces. She understood now. The humans had not joined the coalition for protection. They did not need protection. They had joined because they wanted to fight. And when humans fought, they brought everything they needed to win. The alarm came at midnight. Commander was in her quarters when the lights turned red and the sirens began to scream. She was on her feet and running before she was fully awake. Years of training moved her body automatically. "Report," she shouted into her communication device. "Pirates, Commander's voice came through. 3 ships. They jumped in from the dark side of the moon. They are already docking at Section 7. Pirates cursed under her breath. Station Vila was too far from the main fleet for quick rescue. The pirates knew this. They had probably been watching for weeks, waiting for the right moment. "How many?" asked. "Scanners show at least 50, maybe more." 50 pirates against a station full of scientists and support staff. The station had some security forces, maybe 30 soldiers total. They were outnumbered badly. "Get everyone to the safe rooms," ordered. "All security teams to Section 7. I am on my way." She grabbed her sidearm and ran. The halls were chaos. People were screaming and pushing past each other. Red lights flashed everywhere. The sirens never stopped. "Reach Section 7 in 5 minutes. What she saw made her heart sink. The pirates had already broken through the main doors. They were spreading through the hallways like a disease. She could see them at the far end of the corridor, their mismatched armor and weapons making them look like monsters from a nightmare. Her security teams had set up a defensive line. They crouched behind metal barriers, firing their energy weapons at the advancing pirates. But there were too many enemies. For every pirate that fell, 2 more took his place. "Commander," one of her officers ran up to her. His name was, and his face was pale with fear. "We cannot hold them. They are pushing through on all sides." "Where are the humans?" asked. "I do not know. No one has seen them." Felt a cold anger. Had the humans run? Had they hidden somewhere while her people died? An explosion shook the floor. One of her barriers had been destroyed. 3 of her soldiers lay on the ground, not moving. The pirates cheered and charged forward. Then the humans arrived. They came from a side corridor that had thought was empty. 9 figures in those strange, bulky suits. They moved fast, faster than she expected for people carrying so much weight. Their footsteps made the floor shake. Sergeant was in front. He did not slow down. He did not take cover. He raised his rifle and started shooting while he was still running. The sound was incredible. Had never heard anything like it. Human weapons did not fire energy beams. They fired solid metal, and they fired fast. So fast that the individual shots blended together into one long, terrible roar. His rifle spat fire. Pirates fell. 1, 2, 3, 4. He kept shooting, kept running, kept advancing. Behind him, the other humans spread out. They moved like water flowing into gaps and around obstacles, and they were all shooting, all of them, non-stop. Wu was on the left, his rifle pressed tight against his shoulder. His shots were precise, each one finding a target. A pirate tried to hide behind a pillar. Wu shot through the pillar. The pirate fell. Bora was in the center with her massive support weapon. She planted her feet and pulled the trigger. The gun roared like an angry god. The sound was so loud that had to cover her ears. Pirates did not just fall. They were torn apart. The walls behind them were destroyed. Everything in front of Bora turned to dust and blood. On the right and Myra worked together. They moved like they shared one brain. Shot high, Myra shot low. They cleared room after room, never stopping, never slowing. The pirates tried to fight back. They outnumbered the humans 5 to 1. They had their own weapons, their own experience, but nothing they did mattered. When a pirate shot at, the sergeant did not take cover. He turned and shot back. The pirate died, kept moving. When 3 pirates tried to rush Wu, he dropped his rifle and pulled out 2 small pistols. Both pistols fired at the same time. All 3 pirates fell before they got close. When a grenade landed near Bora, she kicked it back toward the pirates. It exploded in their faces. She never stopped firing her support weapon. Watched in shock. Her own soldiers had stopped fighting. They just stood there, mouths open, watching the humans work. It was not a battle, it was a slaughter. The pirates tried to retreat. They ran back toward their ships, back toward safety, but the humans followed. They did not let anyone escape. Reloaded his rifle while running. He pulled a fresh magazine from a pouch on his chest, slapped it into the weapon and kept shooting. The whole process took less than 2 seconds. Wu ran out of bullets in his pistols. He dropped them and pulled out more from his suit. New pistols, fresh ammunition. He never stopped shooting. Bora's support weapon finally went empty. She reached back and grabbed a new box of ammunition from her pack. She had it loaded and firing again before could take 3 breaths. This was what the humans meant. This was why they carried so much ammunition. They did not fight like other species. They did not stop to reload. They did not conserve their shots. They just kept shooting and shooting and shooting until nothing was left to shoot. The whole attack took 11 minutes. 11 minutes from the first alarm to the last pirate falling. 11 minutes to defeat an enemy that should have taken hours. 11 minutes of constant, unending fire from 9 humans in strange suits. When it was over, walked through the battlefield. Her boots stuck to the floor. She tried not to look at what was left of the pirates. Sergeant was standing in the middle of the main corridor. His suit was covered in dust and small marks. He was checking his rifle, making sure it was ready for more fighting. Sergeant said, her voice was rough. I have never seen anything like that. Looked up, his face was calm. His breathing was normal. He did not look tired at all. Standard response, Commander. We identified the threat, engaged the enemy, and eliminated the problem. Standard could not believe it. You killed over 50 pirates in 11 minutes. Shrugged, they were not well trained. They did not expect resistance, and they ran out of ammunition. He said the last part like it explained everything, and maybe it did. Looked at the other humans. They were spread throughout the section, checking corners and making sure no pirates were hiding. None of them seemed excited or proud. To them, this was just work. How much ammunition did you use? Asked. Thought for a moment. My squad fired approximately 4,000 rounds. We used 14 grenades and 6 smoke canisters. 4,000 rounds in 11 minutes. The numbers made dizzy. Do you need to resupply? Looked down at his suit. He opened a few pouches and checked inside. No, Commander. We still have enough for another engagement. Of course they did, because they had brought everything they needed, because they never ran out. Looked at the destruction around her. Then she looked at the humans in their ugly suits with all their compartments and pouches. She finally understood what she had been missing. The humans did not wear armor because they did not plan to be targets. They planned to be the danger. They planned to bring so much violence so quickly that no enemy could survive long enough to hurt them. It was terrifying, and she was very, very glad they were on her side. The days after the pirate attack were strange. Station Vila slowly returned to normal. The damaged sections were repaired. The bodies were removed. The blood was cleaned from the floors and walls, but nothing felt the same. Commander sat in her office, staring at the report on her screen. She had rewritten it 5 times already. Each time, it sounded more unbelievable than the last. How do you explain what the humans had done? How do you describe 9 soldiers defeating 50 pirates in 11 minutes? How do you make the Coalition Council understand what she had seen? She finally gave up trying to be careful with her words. She wrote exactly what had happened. Then she added Chief Armorer's original inspection report. Then she added the video recordings from the security cameras. She sent it all to Coalition headquarters and waited. The response came faster than she expected. Within hours, she had received 17 messages from different officials. Everyone wanted to know more. Everyone wanted to understand. And everyone wanted humans. The Coalition Council requested a formal meeting with Sergeant. High-ranking officers from 6 different species asked for copies of the human suit designs. Military academies across the galaxy wanted to study human tactics. Even the who had not fought a war in 300 years asked for more information. Was not surprised. What she had seen was impossible to ignore. She found in the training room. The human soldiers were exercising, running and climbing and lifting heavy objects. Even during rest time, they never stopped moving, never stopped preparing. Sergeant said, "The Coalition has sent many requests. They want to know more about your people." Stopped his exercise and walked over to her. Sweat covered his face, but he was not breathing hard. "What do they want to know?" "Everything, your suits, your weapons, your tactics, the way you fight." Paused. "They are scared, I think, scared and impressed." Nodded slowly. "We expected this. When humans first met other species, we knew we were different. We knew the galaxy would not understand us at first." "You are right," admitted. "I did not understand. I thought your suits were foolish. I thought you were too weak to wear real armor." She shook her head. "I was wrong." Said nothing, he just waited. May I ask you something personal? Said. Yes. Why are humans like this? Why do you fight the way you do? Other species value defense. We build walls, we wear armor, we protect ourselves first. But humans, she struggled to find the right words. Humans do not seem to care if they get hurt. You just keep attacking. Was quiet for a long moment. Behind him, his soldiers continued their exercises. The room was full of the sounds of physical effort. Commander, he said finally, do you know what Earth is like? I have seen pictures, a small planet, blue water, green land. Yes, small, too small for all the humans who live there. We grew up fighting each other for space, for food, for survival. We learned early that waiting was death. Defense was death. The only way to live was to attack first and keep attacking until you won. He looked at the window. Somewhere out there, beyond all the stars, was his home world. We brought this lesson into space with us. We know we are soft. We know our bodies are weak compared to other species. We cannot survive in space like the. We cannot grow new limbs like the. We cannot see in the dark like your people. He turned back to. So we learned to kill faster than anything can kill us. Thought about this. It made sense in a terrible way. And the suits, she asked. The suits are just tools. We designed them to carry what we need. Ammunition, supplies, everything. Because once a battle starts, we do not plan to stop. We do not plan to retreat. We do not plan to conserve. We plan to win no matter what it costs. Even your own lives. Smiled. It was a sad smile this time, not the cold one from before. Commander, every human soldier knows they might die in battle. We accept this. But we also know that if we die, we will take many enemies with us. And because we carry so much ammunition, because we never stop shooting, we usually live. The enemy runs out of bullets before we do. The enemy gets tired before we do. The enemy dies before we do. He straightened his back and looked at her directly. We are not brave, Commander. We are practical. We survive because we bring enough destruction to make survival possible. Understood now, she understood everything. Humans did not wear armor because armor was a lie. Armor said, I expect to be hit. Armor said, I plan to survive enemy attacks. But humans did not accept this. They refused to be targets. They refused to be victims. Instead, they became storms. They became fire. They became death itself, walking on two legs, covered in compartments full of ammunition. The coalition wants human military advisors, said. They want humans to train their soldiers, to design new suits, to teach new tactics. Nodded, we are ready to help, but I must warn you, Commander, human tactics are not for everyone. They require a certain mindset, a willingness to advance when others would retreat, a commitment to keep fighting when others would surrender. Can other species learn this? Some can, some cannot, we will see. The door to the training room opened. Chief Armorer walked in. She was carrying a data pad and her face was excited. Commander, Sergeant, I have finished my updated report. What does it say? Asked. Looked at the data pad and read aloud. Human combat equipment analysis, final conclusions. Item 1. Human suits provide minimal traditional protection. Item 2. Human suits maximize ammunition and supply carrying capacity. Item 3. Human combat doctrine prioritizes offensive capability over defensive survival. She paused and looked up. Item 4. Human soldiers do not wear armor because they do not plan to be targets. They wear ammunition carriers because they plan to be the ones doing the killing. She lowered the data pad. I have sent this report to every armory chief in the coalition. They are already asking for copies of human suit designs. Smiled for the first time in days. Good, let them see, let them understand. She turned to, Sergeant, it seems the galaxy is about to change, because of you, because of your people. Shrugged, we are just soldiers, Commander. We do what soldiers do. We fight. We win. We carry enough ammunition to make sure we can do both. He returned to his exercises. His squad continued their training, and somewhere in the station was already planning the first joint training sessions between human and alien soldiers. The galaxy had learned something new about humans that week. They had learned that humans did not believe in defense. They had learned that humans carried death in every pocket of their suits. They had learned that when humans went to war, they brought enough ammunition to kill everything in their path. And the galaxy was grateful, because there were many enemies out there in the darkness between stars. There were pirates and raiders and worse things that had no names. And now, thanks to the humans, the coalition had a new weapon. Not guns, not bombs, not ships. Soldiers who never stopped fighting, who never ran out of ammunition, who refused to accept that defense was the answer. Commander watched the humans train for a long time. Then she went back to her office to write another report. This one would be simple, just 3 words. Request more humans. She sent the message and smiled. The coalition would never be the same, and maybe, just maybe, that was a good thing.